For centuries, the universal goal of spiritual seeking has remained the same: escaping chaotic pain to find a state of unbroken tranquility. Sri Bhagavath Ayya chased this exact ideal. He put himself through severe austerity, abandoning worldly comforts, and spent over 30 grueling years in intense, rigorous meditation, just to quiet his mind. And against all odds, he succeeded. By his late 40s, Ayya entered a state of Ananda, a profound, continuous bliss famously embodied by historical figures like the mystic Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Ayya lived in this ecstatic high for an entire year, day and night. External problems had no impact on his internal state. The euphoria was constant and seemingly untouchable. By every traditional metric, he had won the ultimate spiritual prize. But achieving this mythological perfection triggered a biological nightmare. After 6 months of constant ecstasy, Ayya's physical body collapsed. The unyielding energy created severe physical ailments that medical science simply could not explain. He went to doctors, but the medical tests came back perfectly normal. The problem wasn't a physical disease. The profound spiritual state he achieved over 30 years was biologically unsustainable for a human body. To survive, Ayya had to make a radical choice. He forced himself to drop the bliss. He descended from the heights of enlightenment to become a regular, vulnerable person again. What followed was a 10-year void. He turned to ancient scriptures and spiritual peers for guidance. They had nothing for him. Their only advice was to practice the exact same meditations that would push him back into the state that was killing him. The frameworks built by generations of spiritual seekers simply do not account for our physical reality. If you actually cross the finish line they point you toward, you're left completely stranded. The breaking point finally arrived when Ayya was 58 years old. A completely ordinary, minor daily problem triggered a sudden wave of mental distress, pushing his exhausted mind to the edge. Instead of falling back on decades of meditation techniques to fix the pain, he gave up. He dropped all effort, deciding that if fear, tension, or sorrow wanted to surface, he would let them exist without fighting back. The moment he stopped fighting, he discovered how the mind actually works. The human brain is designed to flow entirely on its own. When a person permanently stops trying to govern their internal state, the friction disappears. True spiritual liberation isn't about rigorous mastery over your thoughts. It is the complete, unconditional surrender of any attempt to control them in the first place. To see this in action, we can look at the life of J. Krishnamurti. He was a highly trained spiritual figure, prophesied to become a world teacher, who possessed the rare ability to enter a deep trance, or samadhi, to entirely block out worldly pain. His methodology was put to the ultimate test while traveling on a passenger ship. Isolated in the middle of the ocean, Krishnamurti received a telegram with devastating news. His beloved brother had just died. A traditional master might have used their training to enter a meditative trance and avoid the immense suffering. Krishnamurti chose not to. He sat alone in his room and allowed himself to be crushed by the raw, unmitigated grief. Using spiritual techniques to shield yourself from emotional pain is a trap. True enlightenment is experiencing your mind's raw, unfiltered emotional reality with zero defenses. But this raises a very practical question. If we let our minds run wild with fear, anger, and grief, how can we possibly function in a civilized society? Ayya resolved this by drawing a strict line between our inner world, Agam, and outer world, Puram. Agam requires absolute freedom. Every internal emotion is accepted as it is. Puram demands strict order. You do your duty regardless of the chaos in your head. Psychological suffering happens when we mix these two worlds up. We exhaust ourselves trying to enforce rigid, mechanical order on our inner emotions, or we cause chaos by acting out those raw feelings in the outer world. Let's look at a concrete example. Imagine you live in a village where social customs dictate you must invite everyone to a family event. An enemy you absolutely despise comes to your door to hand you a wedding invitation. Internally, in your agam, your body naturally burns with anger at the sight of them. You let that happen. You allow the rage to burn brightly inside without trying to suppress it or feeling guilty that you aren't perfectly calm. But externally, in your param, You have a duty. Despite the internal rage, you smile, offer them a seat, and accept the invitation with perfect societal grace. You act correctly, even while you feel furiously. During his 10-year void, Aya found that no expert or ancient text could manage the chaotic flow of his inner world. This led to his final realization. To be free, you must eliminate the idea of an external guru and accept total responsibility for your own internal state. Only by abandoning the exhausting, unwinnable war to control our inner thoughts are we finally free. And with all that reclaimed energy, we can finally focus on doing meaningful, impactful work in the real world.